When the habit of turning within becomes consistent enough, so that the constant conditioned habit of moving away from the internal process loses its power. And there begins to be the witnessing as a regular taste of the arising of thought and sensation and emotion. There begins to be a ground of recognition that the appearance of some individual one only comes into expression when the attention has moved away from yourself. When attention remains on yourself, it becomes so obvious that it is all just appearing out of nowhere. Every single thing. And the nowhere it is appearing out of, when that is simply felt, it is recognized to be the only thing that is not an object. That perception appears through perception that appears to be away from you. Even the appearance of the body from what is aware of it is an object that appears, that travels a distance from that which is aware of it. But the feeling of the awareness does not travel distance. It is not away from. It is the ground of being. And out of this arises clear mind, which is what is aware in the moment. And out of clear mind there is the seeing that all of the phenomena that creates the experience of someone is all simply an appearance that can only seem real when the attention has fallen away from what is immediate and present and now and felt and not away from. In the feeling into what is present and not away from, it is the feeling of the eternal nature of being. That which has no prior, because it is not of time. It is. That which is not bound by a location, because it is felt everywhere, and even everywhere is not quite right. Because location is abolished in complete feeling of presence. Like a nighttime dream, there can be all different experiences of various locations, but where are they really? It is where there are no parameters. Yet there is the taste, on the one hand, of what is so fresh, and on the other hand is so familiar. And out of this fresh taste, there is the very clear realization that the appearance that it is the gift and the beauty, the reflection of the gift and the beauty. Because when the taste is being imbibed, it is that beauty that is reflected in the appearance. And the appearance is recognized not to be separate from that from where it comes. Thus, what seemed like form is experienced as formless. And the formless is not separate, or the form is not separate from the formless. And the appearance of the character is recognized so clearly to be this constant source of self-reminding that either is tasted as pure divinity or it causes the return of the experience of separation, which is simply the self-reminding mechanism of forgetting, offered by this wisdom. There begins to be this revelation that no matter how it seems, there really is no separate individual there. It is all under the guidance of grace, in the realization that it is all under the guidance of grace, the grace can be received. When the grace is received, it does the work of abolishing the amnesia. It is not in time. Time is the experience in forgetting what is eternally present now. The deeper the taste, the more the reflection becomes this reflection of pure beauty. When there is the forgetting, it becomes the reflection of karma, separation. All as this beautiful offering, all recognized ultimately to be indivisible, undivided. And then there is just this joy. It is the nature of the self, the nature of the heart. this joy and celebration with itself. There is the seeing through of the illusion of mine. My thoughts. When the my is looked for, it can never be found. And even what is looking is recognized that it cannot be found where it is coming from. Yet there is the taste of the unity and the beauty, and then the reflection reflects that beauty and that unity. The whole dreamscape becomes imbued with this light. Reflection becomes like this ever-growing sea of love and happiness that is so alive here and just growing. Experiences that happen in the reference point that the mind defines as body, which in the beginning meant everything, begins becoming meaningless. For there is something that is aware of that is present all the time. When it is felt, it is not bound by what had previously been identified as me. The feeling of it is the feeling of the heart. It is the heart of God. What arises out of it, out of compassion, is clear mind, that which is aware. It is aware of the appearance of the body, but it does not experience the body's vacillations. It is aware of them. Out of this awareness is pure compassion. It is the pure compassion for every single thing that is lost. It is aware of what is lost. But there is no suffering within it. Yet there is the willingness out of the compassion to imbibe the suffering. It is the pure love of the eternal heart that has never been bound, but will taste boundedness out of pure service to what is hurting. What is real is now. What is now is always now. It is not a concept, it is a feeling. It is not a perceptive feeling, it is the feeling of being. It is the feeling of the heart. Pure beauty. The more there is a falling in love with this, the faster it goes. The more ripe the fruit, the less possible it is to turn away. Just to drink it in.
Just drawn.
Yes, drawn.
To this celebration.
Drawn to this celebration. You are such a miracle. Yeah, I am.
What the? You've been mentioning this kind of like a group consciousness that grows.
Yes.
And you use the word drunk, which for some reason feels really appropriate.
Yes.
I'm not sure why.
Yes, it is a very helpful descriptor. It is being completely intoxicated with the nectar of pure ecstatic love.
It's so nice. There isn't even anything to say, is there? Nothing to say.
Yes, the beaming face, the beaming that is behind the face, that permeates through the face, that is the reflection of the recognition. This is what speaks all of it. And that you can feel is intoxicated with the love affair.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Just it felt like a need, but not like a pull. Like a pull.
Yes, this kind of pull is grace. Even if it is called a need, it is grace.
It was coming from someplace else. It wasn't like...
Yes, so it wasn't really felt like a need, it was coming from someplace else. It was a current, feeling like being carried in a current. Yes or no? No, if it is not the experience, then... When you say it was coming from somewhere else, what do you mean?
Well, it was coming from the heart, and just...
Yes.
I really don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming, a pull from the heart. It is a pull from the heart to the heart. Something that at one time could not be recognized, the heart. And now there is the feeling of the magnetism. And all of that is the byproduct of the willingness to remain with it. How everything is in divine order. And all that appears to move is coming out of divinity itself, pointing to what is eternal and unmoving. And the eyes well because it is felt. So beautiful. I imagine there was a time not that long ago where you never could have imagined that there would be a taste like this. I love you. So beautiful. I love you.
everything is just erupting. And just can't find any labels for it.
Yes, yes. What was automatic cannot be found. The end of even the labeling of things. In the beginning, the mind labels things and it's not even recognized that the labeling is going on. It is all subconscious, labeling every phenomenal thing, wall, tree, person, ground. Mind is not even aware. Furthermore, mind is not aware that those labels create the experience. And when the labeling vanishes, the taste is like a newborn infant, where there is no sense of distinction, where that which is infusing and animating all of it becomes the taste of pure luminosity and beauty.
Yes. Yesterday at Ruthie's generous offer, there was sitting in her seat, and there's been such a long history of physical distance and recognizing that that doesn't matter at all. And then sitting so close for the first time in many years, and nervousness about the body's ability
To sit in that chair.
to sit in that chair, and the pull just relentless. There was no not doing it. And what happened was just so exquisite. Again, it just can't fall into any category, but there was this burning, and it still remains in the hips, and I mean really deep in, almost into, it feels like in the bone of things, not even in the bone of a body, that would have been labeled as intense pain, unbearable prior. And the experience is just like the heart of everything, just resting in this place that has felt so problematic in life. And this beautiful, exquisite burning, but I can't even call it that.
Yes, burning is a label.
Yeah, love, just
Yeah.
pure love.
Yes, love that is on fire.
Yeah.
It is also symbolic. So the life has thrown you to the other side of the country against your desire system, just wanting to be here. And in the resolve, the recognition that it is the same, that the particulars is just the spin of karma. Yet when retreat rolls around, no matter what is going on, if the life is in total chaos, if it seems completely impossible, this time there was infection and the possibility of it going into the bone, it was so aggressive, but nothing would stop the coming. And then it is symbolic, taking the seat where the problems with the hips say it is impossible, but nothing stops the pull. On the one hand, there is the recognition there is no distance, there is no movement, and yet when the reflection reflects, fear will not stop this, I will move in the reflection closer to it, then the taste of it burns through every single phenomenal display.
just nothing is as it appears.
Nothing is as it appears. Nothing is as it appears. And everything that appears is nothing. And in that nothing is everything. Oh, so beautiful.
Drunk is a good word.
Drunk is a good word. Physically in the body, it's impossible, but nothing is impossible. When there is the willingness to challenge the very relative reality or seeming reality of the dream, its unreality is revealed. So long as there is not the readiness to challenge what it calls what seems to be reality, it will all seem like reality, no matter how often there has been the hearing that it is not real. It is like deathless, timelessness. It is impossible to taste eternity unless you are ready to die. The grace and beauty of deeper and deeper seeing. How everything that seems to be my issue, it is all divinity. There is never anyone doing anything wrong. It repeats itself until the complete innocence of all of it is felt all the way through. There just is no individual. It must return over and over again until there is the recognition that it is all divinity. So beautiful. I have been wanting to ask you for days, so your time coming up here, you asked, I don't remember the specific words, but you asked to be stripped raw, something like that. And you came up with this idea that you were coming up to gaze and look at everybody. But in asking to be stripped raw, the words that came out of my mouth were like a punch in the gut. What really brought up a sense of being truly raw from childhood, stripping away the happy, connected facade. How beautiful. And there was a recognition right away that it was received without grabbing onto the defenses. There was the readiness to do what is maybe the most challenging, to experience the repetition of the flavor that created the shell, but recognizing that it's coming from the divine and remaining completely open, and then There is the seeing that it was initiated by your own words. There was the hunger to be stripped raw, and that is what happened. There was lying back in your seat, curled up like a fetus, and yet there was something so beautiful happening that you could recognize while it was going on. Such an honoring. This is much deeper type of maturity than having the experience of tasting the universe during an opening.
It's ongoing.
Yes, something like this is ongoing. And it is this bitter-sweet nectar. It is bitter as soon as there is any identification, which is so aggressive when such deep stuff is moving. And the beauty lies in that which is unidentified and recognizes that this is the fire that is burning the armor free and opening what is vulnerable to nothing.
I haven't quite got there yet.
It is in process. Something can taste that it is in process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ego's been really aggressive lately.
Yes, well,
Oh my goodness.
Yes, of course the ego is aggressive when it is being torn to shreds.
It's screaming and kicking.
Yes, screaming and kicking. That is how you know that you're on absolute direct trajectory. When it is screaming and moaning and there is full identification with it, it does nothing. When it is screaming and moaning because you are not feeding it and you are open, then everything that has created separation and suffering is burning away. And something so tender and beautiful is coming into life, which can be felt at the same time.
Especially when I'm looking at you.
Yes, but even this, especially when I am looking at you, this is the source that the ego would say gave the kick that brought all of this up, the kick out of nowhere. But there is something that is surrendered and trusting. So, so, so sweet.
You heard me calling.
Yes, I heard you calling. That is the nature of the ripe soul. It calls for the sword instead of spends its life trying to manipulate so it will never look at it. Yes, I heard you calling.
There's something that wants to be spoken. It's the gratitude of the self for everyone, for all the work
that everyone does, and for all the light and the love that's coming through everyone. Whether or not you can realize it, the self has so much gratitude to you, to itself. And there's a personal feeling of gratitude to you as well. So thank you.
You know, and this personal gratitude to you always holding this space.
It's the greatest love.
Yes, it is the greatest love. You know, something so beautifully mentioned that has not been spoken. And that is divinity's relationship to humanity. The doorway that carries you back to the ground of your true joy and essence. It is embarking on the most challenging journey that is possible in a human life. It is the willingness to have everything that the ego has held on to for security be humbled. It is the willingness to face every conditioned fear. It is the willingness to let go of the most cherished object that was believed to be mine, and that is the body. This kind of willingness, it causes all the gods to fall hopelessly in love with you. It is the most exquisite beauty I know of, the willingness. And there is such joy and gratitude that arises out of what cannot be described in the recognition of the beauty to do this work. The heart is just erupting. Perhaps the ceiling of this space will be blown off of its hinges before we're done. The facility fee will go up quite a bit. Oh. Thank you all for satsang.